Okay, everybody please take a seat. We're going to go ahead and start. Does anybody know what my name is?
Glenn.
Thank God, because I lost it coming down the hall. I am the new public relations manager, I should say elect. So I'm coming in the fiscal year. When does the fiscal year start for Toastmasters?
July 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st. I saw a confused face here. Hector, that's July 1st. Yes, okay, no problem. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the grassroots. How many of you ended up going to the open house? Oh, you went to the open house and you went to the open house. Okay, this is going to be a nice carry-on tonight. You got to hear a lot of elements. For those of you who didn't go to the open house, how the successful open house, I'll just call it, is they threw out some elements, but they didn't show us how. And this is what you're going to learn from these people. And I'm going to read exactly what they gave to me here because one of them actually did a presentation on doing proper introduction, and as the Toastmaster, which I'm playing today, that you should read exactly what they have on here, the introduction. Most of you who know me know that I'm kind of a rogue individual, and sometimes I don't follow the rules here. And I'd like to give you a quick story just before that. How many of you know who Jo Loricella is? Okay. She was our past district governor. She gave me an introduction sheet. And she said, Glenn, read the introduction sheet. I don't need to read it. I'll just read it when I'm up there. I just kind of looked at it really quick. I went up there and decided to improv and do a roast on Jo Loricella, a district governor. Let's say the least, I didn't get invited to a lot of birthday parties. You want to give the persons their due justice. And the reason why they give us an introduction here is because it's supposed to preempt what they're going to be speaking about, and I think that's very important. So I'm going to give them such as they've given it to me. Every Toastmaster club communicates with its members and the District 52 community in three basic ways: flyers, newsletters, and emails. There's 5,000 Toastmasters in 100. Geez Louise, I just started, for God's sake. There's five. I didn't even write this in here. It's their fault. There's 5,000 Toastmasters in 114 clubs in District 52 holding 2 contests per year. That's a lot of flyers and emails. Your communication must stand out from the crowd to get noticed. Today you will learn how to make your flyers and emails more attractive by using good design. Along with design tips, you'll learn how to use PowerPoint to create printed and electronic media to get your club noticed. Your instructors, I'm not sure which one it is, so I'll just say their names. Shauna Swamberg, ACB-ALB, is currently a member of 5 clubs in District 52. Has served as Vice President of Public Relations and Secretary in 3 of those clubs. Shauna was a pioneer in the field of desktop publishing, producing flyers, newsletters, and brochures with beta versions of page layout software. In concert with, again, don't know which one, Richard Dixon, Shauna will share classic layout and design tips, plus some attention-getting ideas for print and email in this grassroots of public relations presentation. Richard Dixon, ACS, ALS, has served, by the way, I should ask people, do they know what ACS and ALS means?
Yes.
Okay.
Advanced Communicator Silver, Advanced Leader Silver.
Thank you. Has served as club president and vice president, as well as area governor. He has produced many flyers, newsletters, and emails that never fail to get noticed. Shauna Swamberg's design skills. Richard will share his public relations experience and PowerPoint know-how. Together, they present the grassroots of public relations. Please give it up for Richard Dixon and Shauna Swamberg.
In case you don't know, I am not Richard Dixon.
And I'm not Shauna Swanberg.
Welcome everybody to the grassroots of PR. And in this program today, we are going to talk about flyers, newsletters, and emails. How many here are already producing flyers for their club? How about newsletters? and emails. Great, so we have a good cross-section. We're going to cover a little bit of each one. We're going to go more in depth on flyers because from flyers we can create newsletters and emails. Mr. Dixon.
While you are signing in, on the very back of it, there's another sign in. We will give you the how-to portion of this PowerPoint presentation and email it to you if you so desire. In regards to notes, this is the handout that we'll give to you at the end of class. Everything that we're going to be talking to you about will be on this handout. Don't worry if you're not catching it all. The information will be here.
You actually don't need to take notes if you don't want to. We're going to give you a cheat sheet at the end.
Nice.
Let's start with the number one thing.
The number one thing is flyers. So, in flyers, what is the most important thing about a flyer?
When do we use them?
We want to use them for open houses, workshops, contests, and we can even use a flyer format for making an agenda. Flyers. This is going to be the basis for everything that we do here today. Flyers. They can't be just a little attractive. They have to be a lot attractive. Did you get a flyer about this program today?
Yes.
Did you get a flyer about a contest recently?
Yes.
Did you get a flyer about a special event recently? A guest speaker at a club recently?
Yes.
How many got a flyer recently?
Oh, yeah.
How many got another flyer recently? How many got another flyer recently?
Yeah.
Which ones catch your attention? The ones that are boring or the ones that are attractive? They can't be a little attractive. They have to be a lot attractive. So we're going to talk today about how to make an attractive flyer. Here are some samples of some of our favorite flyers.
How many of you received some of these? If you've seen these before, raise your hand.
Or
as they
applaud.
show up.
That guy looks familiar. There's a reason why it was postponed.
Notice what you like about these as you view them. Why they work. Where's your eye attracted to? Why is it attracted to it?
We're going to tell you why, even if you don't already know. There are reasons these flyers stand out.
I like that guy.
I know that guy.
Was that Shauna or Richard?
Question.
Careful.
This slide.
All right, we're going to work with this flyer. How many have seen this flyer before?
Just slide. It's
Let me
good.
first ask, how many know what Parley Pro is? Because we're going to be looking at this quite a bit, so we're going to talk about this flyer. Parley Pro is parliamentarian procedure. We're not going to talk about that in this workshop today. But Gerard gave a workshop on parliamentary procedure for one of his manual requirements, and this was his promotional flyer. It was designed by Richard Dixon. So we're going to take it apart here today, and we're going to talk about what works about it and how to build it. The first thing that happens with this flyer is that it has a big, bold headline, and it's reversed out of its background. Does everybody understand what I mean by reversed?
No.
It's on a dark background with a light headline. In this case, it's a white typeface against a dark background.
And I don't like that because it's hard for me to read.
And most people will say it is the exact opposite.
Okay.
So we just know that you're backward a little bit. There are other things about this flyer that I bet you do like and do pop out at you, and so the flyer still works for you.
And it's important that we are sensitized to black and white material. That's what we receive most
All the time.
all the time, and it's what we're used to. So when you reverse it, it's more attractive.
It also stands out because it's the opposite of what you expect. The second thing that makes this flyer stand out is the photograph is off-center, tilted, and surrounded by a reversed background. Now this is a very flat photo, as you will see in a slide beyond this. When we start to rebuild this flyer, you'll see that this is just an ordinary photograph. But by turning it, framing it, we've made it stand out. It's not ordinary on this page. We're going to talk a little bit about photographs. Some of our photographs that we get are full face on, like the one we just saw. Some are a profile. This is a profile. Where is he facing? Into the flyer. If we put this photograph on this side of the flyer, where is our eye going to go? Right off the material. So when you are working with someone's photograph and it has an angle to it, work with the angle. We want to keep the eye going in toward the material that is promoting our message. Farshad. In this one, we have even his hand. If we put that picture pretty much anywhere else, where are we going to be looking? Right off the page. He's literally beckoning us to read what we put right below his hand. This is almost a full face shot, but we have an angle here that gives us some direction. So we want to make sure we're using this direction to get our attention. We can put this photograph pretty much anywhere on the page, but if we put it here, our eye naturally will go to the right because we put a little shadow on that side of the photograph. Draws our eye back over, and the message, happiness rocks, is the next thing we see. Back to Parley Pro. Back to this really great looking guy, Gerard. Great photograph, but if we don't make it stand out, we will lose him. We've also put spot color onto this flyer to highlight the message and also to give more visual appeal to the material on the page. Spot color is exactly that. Use too much color and it doesn't stand out. Use too little color and it won't stand out. Use a balance of spot color and you have visual appeal. It's separated so it keeps your eye moving down the page, and it allows our minds to take in what's in between those two lines of spot color. White space. We've talked a lot about white space in graphic design. I'm sure everybody has heard the term white space. Yes? Yes?
Yes, you've heard that phrase?
In this case, we have black space because we've reversed the flyer. We've reversed its colors. So what would be white is now black. So in this case, what we're talking about is white space that is actually black space. It's blank space. Blank space relieves our eyes. When we're scanning a page, our eyes have a lot to do. If we have too much to do, we get confused. We stop looking at it all. We need places where our eyes can rest. White space, in this case black space, gives our eye a chance to rest, and it also allows us to keep moving down the page. In American English, we read from left to right, top to bottom. We need to keep going, left to right, top to bottom. White space gives us our opportunity to keep moving down the page without getting overwhelmingly fatigued. We also have with this flyer uneven division. When we take a page that's 8.5 by 11, we fold it into thirds. We have even spaces, right? Okay. But when we do this, our eye doesn't know which section to start with first. When we have uneven division, we give our eyes the opportunity to find one thing first, then another, and then another. On this, we won't find it. We don't like things that are too linear on a flyer design. Our eyes don't like to look at it, and it doesn't register as any one important part on the page. So when we divide something unevenly, like we've done here, we have a smaller space at the top, a larger space in the middle. Where is the most important part of this information? In the middle. The least important is actually where it is and what time. You need to see this once. You need to understand what's in this seminar to make you want to go to it. Does this part make you want to go to it?
Yeah.
Does this part make you want to go to it? This is the part that makes you want to go to it. It tells you what you need to know. The most important part of the flyer should be in the largest part of the uneven division. So when you're folding something, when you're working with something that's in half, you have the same problem. Which half is more important? Instead of folding in half, go 1/3 and 2/3. Give your title up here, your most important information. No matter how you divide an 8.5 by 11 sheet, don't divide it in even spaces. And your eye will have more opportunity to take in the information. One of my favorite books in graphic design, it's an older book, it's now in its 2nd edition. I started working with it in the 1980s. Everything about it is still relevant today. It's called The Elements of Graphic Design. It's by Alex White. It is going to be on your handout. You don't have to write this down. And you can find this on Amazon. It's very easy to get.
We can design this. You can find templates for Word. You can find templates for Publisher. Adobe Illustrator. Those of you who are in the Mac family are familiar with Pages. But how many in this room have had to use PowerPoint to present something at Toastmasters or at work? Are you familiar with PowerPoint? I can tell you that PowerPoint is one of the easiest programs to design in, and that's what I'm going to teach you today. The program that I'm using right now is PowerPoint 2010. Some of the features that I use aren't available in 2007 or 2003's version. I'm using PowerPoint 2010, and I'm literally going to walk you through how to do this, to make this presentation. That means there's going to be some work.
Uh-oh. Richard's taking off his jacket.
This is the workshop portion, right? So we have to roll up our sleeves and get ready to go to work. The fact that it's warm in here has nothing to do with why I'm doing this. All right, so we start exactly where everyone starts their PowerPoint presentation, with a new presentation. Starts off blank. We next go up to the tab on Design, and we choose a landscape design. This is in-house, it's in 2010 right now. Choose this in landscape. But you can produce a flyer in landscape. Some of the ones that you saw were in landscape, but this particular one will be produced in portrait. So we go up and choose slide orientation and choose portrait. Easy enough. But there's text boxes already on this, ones that I don't want to use. So I do a Control A, which will select all those, and I hit delete, and now I have a blank screen to work with.
Nice.
Everyone with me so far? We're going to go through this quickly. We're going to insert a picture. Where's the number one place to find pictures? Google.
Yeah.
Indeed. And it should relate. I found this picture by laying in the word gavel and found this picture. You really want to look for copyright-free pictures, and there's a lot of them out there, but if you're having difficulty finding them, Wikimedia Commons, everything is copyright. If you're going to use this printing for cash profit purposes, you need to have copyright-free photos. If you're using it for personal use, not making a profit, copyright will let you use it for one-time use. JPEG versus PNG. How many people know what the difference is?
One person in the room?
It's really important.
I thought they were the same.
I would type in gavel PNG. PNG, every JPEG is going to have a white background. And if I'm working in the black, that white may not work well in the design. The PNG has a transparent background. And so it's necessary to know the difference and how to use them. When you go on to our Toastmasters International and look for graphics, they offer both. And that's the reason why. Here's the photo. This is where it started. This is Gerard's personal photo. I slapped it on there. I inserted it up with picture. Inserted it. Notice how it just sits there? It almost blends into the colors in the background. There's nothing there.
Good looking guy, picture gets lost.
So we're going to do something with it. We're going to go up. I can't see my screen from here, so I'm going to look up at the screen. We're going to go up at drawing pictures, and we're going to seek the bold white background. That's what we put, right? It's still better, but it's still not helping. So we're going to add a little tilt to it. You're going to go up into pictures. You're going to select rotate. You're going to select more rotation options. And this is a -6 tilt.
Why are we tilting it in this direction?
So it's towards the center.
Exactly, so that it draws our eye toward the center of the page.
And this is what Shauna was talking to us about, off-center tilt. Right? Next thing is we need text. It's really simple. We go to the text box, we stretch across and create a text box. Every piece of text that you're going to put on your flyer is going to be done this way. I type in Parley Pro. I know that I want to emphasize this, so I am going to underline it. Does that do anything for you?
Yeah.
You know, not yet.
No.
It needs something. It needs some pizzazz. We need to make it large headline reverse type. You see that I've moved it up. You may not be able to tell on that screen. That's the reason I've told you this is Bodino Empty Black 96 point. If you're going to use reverse type, it has to be big, or it's not going to get noticed. Every single item on that page is put in a text box. I have highlighted every single text box that's on that page. Once you know how to stretch a text box, you've got this flyer done. Well, okay, maybe not done. All right, notice the white space.
Look at all the white space. This is really important. Notice all the white space. This is where your eye gets to rest. Move on down to the next line. Keeps your eye moving down the page.
How many people understand what center means on print? How many people know what ragged right means?
Oh.
How many people know what justified means? All right. This is ragged right. Shauna, what's ragged right?
Ragged right is when it's ragged on the right. It's not justified. It's not straight lines on both sides of the margins. It's not on the left with a right-hand straight margin and ragged on your left-hand side. Ragged right. This is the most typical reading style of most printed pieces. It's what our eye expects. When you want to emphasize something or balance something as an element, justified is great. When you want to fill the middle of a page, centered is great. When you want to fit something along the right-hand margin, right side justified, ragged left is great. But this ragged right is what our eye is most accustomed to seeing. It's the most comfortable. But notice that Richard didn't go all the way over to the right-hand edge of the page. He left some white space, so we have some relief from a lot of text in a small space. White space.
But it's still kind of boring. Still kind of boring.
He said it.
Right? So we add a little spot color to remind you what's really important. We want to draw your eye to do these two things. And so we add a spot color. We highlight the text inside the text box. We go up to the drawing tool, over to the text fill, and we choose, and you can actually click and find out what that's like, a burnt orange, but that's a specific color. It matches it into some of the orange tones that are in the photo. I'm choosing that color purposely to join in to make it good contrast.
Why would we not choose something like blue?
Because there's no other blue there, we wanted to catch the eye, it matches.
It
what's
really
there.
blends in to pick up some of that background color from the picture.
Nice.
Now we're going to lay in, this is our Toastmaster logo in PNG. It's a black, it's a clear background, so it's a PNG. And this is grayscale. You can get this right off the TI site. But you saw in some of those flyers that I created, I had Toastmasters in color. Colors that they don't offer. So I use this. You go up to insert, to picture tools, see the color that's highlighted,
Oh, yeah.
and you get all these different color tones. The third one from the bottom up middle is grayscale. You can do this in reverse. I had all these color pictures that I used here that you saw, but I needed to print it in black and white for the handout. So I just reached up and grabbed grayscale for all that so that it would look good on the flag.
I have a great opportunity here that I hadn't planned on showing you the difference between JPEG and PNG. You see how this box around this Toastmasters logo in yellow forms a square around the box? In JPEG, that square will be white behind the logo. In PNG, it looks like this. That's the difference. In JPEG, you're going to have a white background. In PNG, you have essentially no background.
All right, you have actually just created your flyer. You now will save it as a PowerPoint so you can edit it. But how are you going to use it? You must save it as a PDF, which is print. Does anyone know what PDF
Portable
stands
document
Portable
format.
Thank you. And so this is how you can send it to anybody, any club, to print out and hand out to their members.
You can also send it by email as an attachment, as a PDF, and just about any computer user can open it. Save it as a JPEG and send it out to other people. Sometimes people will have trouble opening it as a graphic.
You want to insert it into an email, you want to insert it on Facebook, you must save it as a JPEG. Every flyer that you've seen on this screen is a JPEG. It's not you can't load a PDF into PowerPoint.
So when you go to Facebook and you want to upload your flyer to post on Facebook, it will not offer you the option of bringing it in as a PDF. You have to bring it in as a JPEG. There are other formats that that Facebook can take in, but we're working with PowerPoint. So we're going to save it in what PowerPoint can save it as, and that will give you the opportunity to use it on Facebook.
So now your flyer is ready. Question is, how long did this take you? Let's start through this entire presentation. all the way through, all the different steps. Seems like it's an awful lot of steps. It actually is 10. 10 steps to create a flyer. Any of us can master 10 steps. It's easy enough.
How many here are finished with the CC manual?
How many of you have had to use PowerPoint for your number 8 project? All right? You're already familiar with PowerPoint. Now you can use it to make print media.
So for those of you who haven't gotten to that project yet, you've now been educated on how to do that.
You've also learned how to make your PowerPoint regardless of it's. Right. So this is it.
That's
All right,
it
next
on how
step.
to make a great flyer. Who learned something? Fabulous.
All right.
Every flyer, we started with flyers because this is an important part. It builds everything else that you do. Newsletters. How many people are responsible for a newsletter? No, one person in this room. It's not too surprising. All right, newsletters, why do we use them? We do a meeting review with them. People love to see their name in print. Why, I still don't know, but I still love to see my name in print. All right, club promotion. It's a great way if you're going into a new a new potential club at a corporate to show them a newsletter of what Toastmasters is about. And it's a reminder, this is the number one reason I think a newsletter can be used. It's a reminder of all those absent members of the fun they missed.
Yes.
All right, this is a 3-page newsletter that I created for Cosmotech. Lynn loved this.
3 pages.
3 pages.
Good point.
And I love that. 2 pages.
Better.
Better. And finally, 1 page.
Yay!
But there's a problem with every newsletter you create. Now, just in case you really want to do this, you can find templates in all the programs that we're talking about, which is Word, Publisher, Adobe Illustrator, Pages within Mac. You can find templates that will make this job much easier. That is actually, all those that you saw were templates that I used. But they're time consuming to make. They're expensive to print. And in my experience, even in Cosmo, who I dearly love, I think maybe 20% of the people read them. All that effort, all that resource that you're using, and it's not getting read. So I think the primary way to send a newsletter is, if you're going to create it like this, is save it as a PDF and save it as a JPEG and put it in an email. But it's most of your email programs, you don't really need to do all this effort. You could create this in PowerPoint. You can create a newsletter without a problem in PowerPoint if you want. But I think the number one thing you're using is emails.
Yes.
How many people are responsible for your club emails right now? How many of you receive club emails? How many of you read them all the time? Keep your hand up. Read every word.
Not every word.
Well, this is really important. How many of you actually open them? How many other emails don't you open?
Oh, yeah.
How many are you, as soon as you receive one more email, are you like, oh my God, another email?
Now, one of the reasons that you don't open the email, or if you have opened the email, you don't read it all the way through, is that our attention span is getting smaller and smaller. And right about now, our attention span, on an average, has been estimated to be 8 seconds per subject, which means you guys cut out on us a long time ago.
All right, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Everybody stand up.
Yep.
Good.
You're good? Who said that they're good?
She can't help because of
Okay, you're good. Good. We just want to stretch a little bit. We're on our afternoon, right after lunch. Let's move a little bit.
This is a hint on how to get interested in the emails that are flooding your inbox. Stand up and stretch. Change your perspective for a moment. Then sit back down. Go back to your computer.
What's the number one thing every email must have? What must happen for every email?
Subject.
Oh, it's really much so simple.
Get open.
You have to get an email open. Alright? What is that key?
Subject.
Ah, indeed.
We have to have dynamic subject lines. This is another email. Is that a dynamic subject line? No. We have a bunch of them that are going to pop up on the screen here. We need your help.
You need our help. Read these with us.
We did
We
it.
did it.
Feel the excitement.
The
Best way to make
your
point.
For
Professional
professional
results.
Expand your business or professional potential.
Get the
The
edge
edge
the
pros
pros
have.
have.
And
It pays to know.
Phrases sell, words that sell.
All right, we are with you. These are two
All
great
right.
resources. Tell
We've
us about it,
created a
Sean.
monster. These are two of my absolute favorite books of reference material for sales phrases, word phrases, copywriting that pops, words that sell, and phrases that sell. I've been using these books for 30 years. A lot of you know that I do a lot of writing. Some of you really love my writing. This is where it comes from. These two books are my #1 reference materials. They are going to be on your handout. You don't have to write them down. We're making this very easy for you. These books are organized as a thesaurus. There's a section on descriptive words for colors, a section on descriptive words for romance, a descriptive word for benefits, a descriptive set of words for big. So you don't have to just use those words. We have dictionaries full of much more colorful, much more compelling words and phrases, and you'll find a lot of them in these two books. These are for your subject lines with emails as well. They will make your emails stand out more so than, hey folks, this is just another email letting you know we have a meeting on Sunday. You can say it much better. Use these two books as great reference material for that.
Nice.
How many of you receive emails that are in black and white, small print, and never read them?
Oh yeah.
All right. These are some emails I've actually sent out. If you're part of Cosmotech, you receive these. Some of the information needs to be big.
So once the email gets opened,
Something
this
Right.
is what it should look like.
bold. Get your attention. Now this abused all the rules, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It's important that your email get noticed. I can guarantee you almost everyone will open an email that I have sent because they are used to knowing it's going to be creative when I send it. Very seldom, I'm smiling here at Kathleen because she and I exchanged a bunch of emails that had nothing like this. It's yes, no, I'll do that, no. All right, get noticed. Number one thing is you must have a graphic or a photo to get started. Here I created a bylaw change. This is a banner made right in PowerPoint. I'll show you how to make those, or I'll tell you how to make those. John Kesey, this is our District 52 contest winner who is going to the semifinals. Make it fun. Now, I thought that this really big, wonderful graphic, I was trying to promote the idea that every single person should have a pocket speech.
Yes.
So that when someone cancels on short notice, you can step up and give the pocket speech. 50% of the people, well, there's not 50% men in this room. 50% of the people in this room really like this, and 50% of the people find it offensive. I never actually use this picture. It's important that you think in that term of when you're using a graphic. Is it politically correct to send it? This is a little edgy. It's not bad, but it might be a little offensive to some people. So it's not it's not worth it to offend one member. So I didn't use it.
It's exactly the same as giving a speech. Consider your audience.
I have to tell you that Shauna is probably the most succinct person that I know. That she is very good at content and narrowing it down. And so I'll have her tell you about succinct.
Your emails, again, are going to be read within 8 seconds or less. Not a bunch of verbiage, not a lot of language. This isn't the time to write a speech. This is the time to pop it out, make it stand out, and make it go away quickly. Or people will not stay long enough in that email to read your material. There are exceptions to that. Richard will point out one in just a moment. Every one of your emails has to have an action item. What's the point of sending out an email if you're not going to have an action item? Don't just send an email for promotional purposes and not tell them what you want them to do. Make sure that what you want them to do is very clear.
See you at the next meeting.
No guesswork here. If there is additional information somebody needs to know about the content of this email, put a link in the email. Don't write it in the email. Put a link in the email. If you write it in the email, what's going to visually appear on the screen is a whole bunch of text. 8 seconds, folks. Done. Fast.
So
It's got to be
means
fast.
Every email must be readable. Your default, go ahead, I'll let you give these.
Your email has to be readable, and in order to get read quickly, 14-point type. On this screen, because we're in a presentation mode here, this might not look like it's all that big, but compare it to this. You can probably see neither one of those from the back of the room, but when you're up at your computer screen, you can see them both. Which one can you read the fastest?
14.
Exactly. Go to 11 or 12-point type, which is your typical document typeface size,
It's too small.
and it's too small, people won't read it.
It's your email default is either 11 or 12.
So reset
So
your email default to 14-point, or select the entire page that you're working on and change it to 14-point. Don't start with anything smaller than 14-point, or it won't get read.
Should it be larger, 16?
It can be larger. If it's too large, somebody working off of a phone or a tablet, it will be too big.
But I
So
might go
keep
to 16. I wouldn't go to
16 is
18.
fine, and there are some typefaces that are naturally tighter, so you have to experiment with what you're using.
Excellent.
Do not use all caps in an email. No matter how tempted you are to highlight something by using all capital letters, it is commonly thought of as yelling at your reader. Don't use all caps.
And it tires your eye. You read an entire paragraph of all caps. Your eye gets tired and stops.
And also, just as a hint on headlines, check your typeface to see how it looks in all caps. Script typefaces written in all caps are completely unreadable. So make sure you're using a typeface that is appropriate when you must use all capitals. But generally speaking, electronic communications written in all capitals comes across as yelling. We do not want to yell at our audiences. Highlight important items in color for their emphasis.
I use alt bold all the time. In 14-point, I use bold all the time. In the examples that I showed you, that's bold. This happens to be blue. I created this banner, this Cosmotech Moments of Truth banner within PowerPoint. I wouldn't say publisher, that's where I hadn't created it. In PowerPoint. And I can cut and paste directly from PowerPoint. I use Firefox? Is that right?
Firefox, yes.
Firefox, and I can cut and paste directly, but if not, you can save it as a JPEG.
You'll see that he has 2 lines in this email in color. They are the most important 2 lines of the entire email.
This moments of truth is the exception to the rule. This is a report on a bylaw change. You have to give the detail. You're required to give the detail that you're announced to your club that you're going to make a bylaw change. The highlights are telling you exactly what the bylaw change is. And the second highlight is this is when we're going to vote on it. Those are the 2 things that are on it and why they're emphasized for this.
So don't be afraid to use color inside your email. Just not all color if you have something to emphasize. I like to respond to people's emails in all blue just because I like it. But it comes across to the typical eye as just black and white because it's all one color. If I have something to emphasize, I change the color. And there you have it. There is the grassroots of PR right there.
You've learned about flyers. Flyers will lead you to everything else. You can do a newsletter using that flyer technique. You can make a newsletter with that technique. More importantly, you can make emails with pizzazz.
And if
You
there is
no
anything
longer-
Richard is known for, it's his pizzazz.
You no longer need to have, you don't have to have your emails ignored because you don't know how to add pizzazz to it. I guarantee you, I wish I had enough of my Cosmo people in the room so I could ask you how many people you all will always open an email for me. Because they're always interested to see what next thing I'm using as a graphic.
But he also threatens them. Any questions? Any questions?
Any problems that you, Kathleen?
Kathleen?
I have a question. When we're giving one of those Toastmasters speeches, the canned ones with the PowerPoint.
Aren't those awful?
Yeah. Well, how do you add pizzazz to those? Because I
You can't edit their slides.
Right.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You must, if you're getting a CD, how many of you done these in which you've downloaded
I
a
have, and I
CD
couldn't edit
or
anything.
bought a CD
Oh, yeah.
and they're boring. It's amazing that they're boring. Bring them into your PowerPoint program. Don't work off the CD.
Of course.
Import it into your PowerPoint program. Now you can edit them. You can take out slides. You can change the type. You can do the same thing that I've suggested here. You can change the type. You can add graphics to it. You can add graphs to it. How many people know about the 6x6 rule? No more than 6 words in one line. No more than 6 lines on one slide. All right? I think it should be 4x4. You'll notice in most of what I presented here today, and they automatically advance. They gave you the 4 points and they reviewed for one at a time. You can set those up to be separate clicks if you want. But you don't have to maintain that. In 2010, in PowerPoint 2010, there are animations. Right? Some of the things that you saw here today, when things move, right? That's an animation that you can create. When something appears on a screen when you want it to, that's an animation. A transition. You have to be careful when you have all these elements in play because your eye will get sick. You'll notice on the very first one I did this vortex that was beautiful, pixelated, and moved, right? It's a very beautiful, but if you do that with every slide, you will make half your audience sick.
Too much motion.
All these transitions from one slide to another is a transition fade.
You're
from
evil.
one fade to another fade. But every once in a while, if you have a really long presentation, I'll throw in a different type of transition. But an animation is how all these things work, right?
Any other questions? Okay, folks, we need you to fill out the evaluation forms
And
as required by Toastmasters.
if you want, you saw the slides about how we created this flyer. I've cut that out, just that portion of how to create that flyer. And I have that in a PowerPoint I will send to you. If on the sign-up sheet, on the second sheet down, you will give us your name and email, we'll send that to you. And so and it includes all the information. You can see exactly uptight which tab I used, what each step was. And I'll be more than glad to send that to you.
I just gave them some of that.
Thank you, I
As long as
appreciate
it's
it.
getting sent out.
Instant out.
Thank you.
All right, we are so very proud to have presented this to you, and we thank you for participating. We hope, we look forward to seeing flyers from all of you now.
Yes, and we'll open them.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone give Shauna and Richard applause. Did you guys get a lot out of that today?
Yes.
Awesome. I want to tell you this. These two individuals here are part of what we call the public relations team. I'm the public relation manager, and I should really call
News to
myself
us.
the public relation delegate. Because I know nothing about public relations, which is why I bring these experts in. They know what they're talking about. And they're going to be helping us throughout the year regarding newsletters and flyers for the district. And so, for those of you who are still here, who needs to know more about
Who's still here?
public relations,
They're all here.
social media, and what else do we need?
Social
Marketing.
media. Social
And
media.
especially branding of yourself or the club.
Yes.
Put your hands up. That's what's coming here at 2:30. Two ladies right behind you there, Jenna Edwards and Elizabeth Gilbert. They're going to show you how to brand your
They are
club.
next up.
And a lot of what Richard and what Shauna showed us, remember them talking how important the content is? This is where your branding comes in. And this is what these ladies are going to teach you. So go ahead and hit the bathroom real quick and come back, or hit a refreshing drink.
And please be sure to give us your evaluations. Those are really important to us. Thank you.